Thank you, Gwyneth, and those new reporters for their work. You can watch all of Gwyneth's stories from inside the Roundhouse this session online on the New Mexico in Focus YouTube page. Now back to our line opinion panel of veteran journalists. Nearly 1,100 bills were introduced during this year's 60-day session, not to mention the hundreds of resolutions and memorials brought forth by lawmakers. Now, although the vast majority of these proposals failed to make it out of the Roundhouse, several failed bills have caught our attention. We return now again to the proposed crime bills. In her State of the State address, the governor received a standing ovation, if you remember this, for her call to ban all assault weapons. House Bill 101, which would have banned the possession, manufacturing, sale, or transfer of assault weapons and large capacity magazines, died in committee and never received a vote from the House or the Senate. Now, Daniel, I'll start with you on this one. What happened to this bill? Was this bill destined to fail from the beginning, or is the governor, a ban on all assault weapons is a very deep subject. You're not going to wrestle to the ground in 60 days. What happened here?
Yes, it was probably destined to fail from the beginning. In New Mexico, some of these gun restrictions are Democrats look skeptically on. The safe storage bill. There were quite a few Democrats who crossed the line and voted with Republicans against it.
Yep.
The assault weapons ban, it ran into, a new legal environment with Supreme Court decisions. And I think there was some concern about whether it went too far and violated Second Amendment rights. Even Democrats were raising that issue. And then it also has a lot of kind of technical challenges around how do you define an assault weapon, how do you define these attachments, things like that, that made it just sort of really tricky to get it through. So, that one is one that I think is probably less likely among the gun bills that failed to advance in the near future. It just has a lot of sort of particular challenges unique to that issue.
Right. That's right. Sean, you hear the list that Dan just laid out. How do you get a bill like this passed? Do you know what I mean? It would be an enormous amount of hurdles to get across.
It's so wild to me to understand the political nature of New Mexico when you look at, Democrat-controlled Senate, House, governor, right, and so many Democratic voters here. A lot of progressive agendas, as we spoke about earlier, pass through, and it's nice to call for a ban on assault weapons. New Mexico is still a gun state, and that crosses all political boundaries and lines, even if you're not a registered voter or care to be involved in politics. Right. And so I think that lawmakers are listening to their constituents. Even the progressive lawmakers that we see from Albuquerque and from Santa Fe, they all have constituents that are gun owners. And so supporting a gun ban is something that just ultimately goes against people that vote for them.
Inez, a post-session press conference you were aware of last weekend, the governor said she is, quote, going to keep trying, end quote, on crime-related bills of the near 40 this year. Only 10 made it to her desk, 10 out of 40. I guess that just explains how difficult it is to move forward on gun stuff, isn't it? But could they signal this as success, perhaps, those 10? So 10 pretty significant.
It's a quarter. When you think about it, and you said at the beginning there were 1,000 bills introduced and only 240 passed, so that's not a bad
good comparison
number.
There. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I hope everyone stops and reflect is that legislation doesn't necessarily stop crime.
Right.
And perhaps they need to look at some other things. And I would look at the court system and whether we're they always say, are we enforcing the gun laws we have? Well, are we funding our court system? Do we have public defenders? Do we have district attorneys? Can we get people convicted quickly? Right. If we did those things and ensured they were safe in jail, we could lock up criminals and then they wouldn't be out, doing things again. Yeah. So I think the approach to reducing crime needs to stop from adding penalties or taking away guns that you can't pass anyway because it's unconstitutional, to maybe getting the laws in the books, enforcing them, and locking up the bad people that need to be locked up.
Good points there. Shifting to election stuff, guys. Senate Bill 73 would have opened New Mexico's primary elections to non-party affiliated voters. Sean, this is a big one. I got personal friends who are dying to see this pass. I'm a declined to state. A lot of people are. What happened here? Was this just too much of a threat to the status quo? The arguments around it, I'm curious why this didn't make it.
I think that's what you hit it on the point, is the status quo there is really concerned about what this could do, how you would open that up. I was surprised that it died quickly. that it didn't make it very much, as far as we had, and the debate on it didn't go too substantial. But I'm still curious to know why something like this is not popular when I believe there are a lot of independent New Mexico voters who want to have open primary elections here.
Right.
Back to the idea, who are you supporting, your constituents or yourself? And it seemed like in this one, lawmakers are out there for themselves.
We've got numbers from NM Political Report. Nearly 23% of all registered voters, guys, in the state are non-party affiliated. I would think, Dan, this would have some traction, some backstop, some draft, something to give courage to lawmakers to be able to do this. What was your sense of the argument and why this didn't pass?
Well, I think it's kind of a glass half full, glass half empty thing. First of all, open primaries did pass the Senate, a full chamber. That's never happened before.
Fair point.
So I think if you're a supporter of the idea, you can argue that maybe there's a little more momentum. On the other side, I think that, as Sean mentioned, legislators, these are people who've been elected under the current system, and they're used to talking to, voters in the primary. They know that this system works for them, and there's got to be some anxiety about, do I need to start tailoring my advertising to some broader group of voters? There's probably just, I think, some sense of, well, I don't, this is unknown. I don't know if this is going to be right for me, much less for the state. So anyway, I think it's an issue that's not going away. It did advance a bit this session. As Sean mentioned, it didn't really take off on the House side at all, but there are some signs that maybe the landscape is
Something
changing.
to be said for getting out of Senate. I mean, that's no small thing. Something to be said for that, certainly. Dan, when we had you halfway through the session, you did a Facebook Live with me. We're very appreciative of that. But at that point, I'm so interested to talk about this. We talked about the modernization of the state legislature. At the time, you said it was a partisan issue with Democrats loudly in favor. And you also mentioned the proposal of lengthening sessions during even-numbered years. Had a little more momentum at that time, but it didn't quite carry. None of these things seem to work, despite the public in many polls saying, we want some change here. What happened? What's the disconnect here?
Yeah, I think that this is another thing where there's kind of a split between the chambers. The House Democrats really seem to be pushing this idea.
Sure.
They are younger, I think, in general. They are also more women, as Inez mentioned. The Senate is a little older, a little more male-dominated. And so you saw like the proposal to establish a salary commission. That one ran aground in a Senate committee. So it did advance through the House. Right. I think they have a little more convincing to do with some of these older legislators like George Munoz, the chairman of the Senate Finance Committee. They've got some convincing to do on that side. So this is, it's not just partisan dynamics at play, but also differences between the two chambers. And then the lengthening of the sessions, that's an idea that has sometimes picked up Republican support in the past. This year, it advanced, and I think that the leadership just decided not to spend a lot of time on it this time. And in some cases they can wait because these are constitutional amendments that wouldn't go on the ballot until 2024 anyway. So there may be some sense, well, maybe they'll take another stab at them in next year.
Yeah, and speak about that if you would. I mean, again, is this too big a bite for older legislators to even consider something like this?
I think a lot of people, once they get elected, they got elected under the system. It works for them, and they don't see a need to change. And I think the people who want to modernize the legislature are going to have to make a better case, not just that they're enriching their pockets, but that it's fair to be paid for work.
Right.
And I maybe start with some middle reforms. We had some columnists that wrote about you need more staff members because they do a lot of the work. So can you expand the staff? Can you focus on interim committees and pay people more for when they're working during their time off?
Right.
Because they do a lot of work for not very much recompense. And
There seemed to be general agreement on this issue beforehand. Yeah. I can't think of any Republican elected who didn't have the same problem as Democrats, not enough staff.
Right.
And that was the betting money going in. If there was one that was going to pass, it would be that one. Yeah. I don't understand why we can't have staff. There's just something very weird about that. Go ahead and pick up on that if you would, Sean, as well.
It was so fascinating to watch that debate and watch it dissolve because we have to remember the voters were going to have to approve this. This was an attempt to make a constitutional amendment. And so as I'm watching the debate, I'm seeing these lawmakers not even agreeing and muddle it at all. I'm like, you can't solve this part and figure it out. How are you going to pitch this to voters?
Right.
So I wonder if at some point they recognized, how are we going to ask for a raise in this economy in our next election cycle.
That's a bitter pill. The idea of paying all these members like 80 grand each, that's just a big pill for New Mexico. We're going to have to chop at this one. Thanks again to our panelists. We'll be back for one final conversation on the budget and some tax changes in less than 15 minutes.